Hey everybody, so I just saw Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Directed by Kathy Yan, this movie stars Margot Robbie, Rosie Perez, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Journey Smollett Bell, Ewan McGregor, Ella J. Bosco, and Chris Messina. I won't lie, there are problems with this film, and a lot of them are glaring. But I would be lying if I said that this movie was not an absolute blast and the most fun that I've had in a theater so far this year. I think most glaringly, there's problems with the story, pacing, and tone of the film in a whole. The first two acts are so high energy that when the third act kicks into gear, it all of a sudden becomes a completely different movie tone wise. It's a little rocky to say the least, and the pace suffers from the same thing as well. The movie is presented in a non linear fashion, and it confuses the viewer in a way. It keeps jumping back and forth, introducing characters, but once it gets past a certain point, the movie corrects its course, and those problems are left behind. The film also starts out with heavy narration from Harley Quinn, which I did like and I found very funny, but it started to feel old after a while. Again, it's almost as if the movie forgot that it was doing a narration heavily throughout the first two acts, and then just completely disregarded it for the third act right up until the end. And the entire film is full of plot contrivances, things that need to happen, which are one in a million chance of just suddenly happen. And magically, every character in the film somehow relates to one another and what's going on in their own story. Unfortunately, this film introduces three DC heroes and two Batman villains, and their backstory either feels incredibly forced through exposition, or their characters never fully fleshed out. In the case of Black Mask and Mr. Zsasz, especially. I want to give credit to this film for taking its own liberties with these two characters and shaping them into what the film needs them to be, but it feels like what makes these characters work in the comics is missing. But everything with Harley Quinn, I think, works well. This movie does acknowledge the events of Suicide Squad and even uses footage from that movie in the meantime. But it's strange that they never actually show the Joker's face. There's no need for him to be in this film, and I feel that if he were in it, it would not have been necessary at all, and it would have taken away from the main characters and what they were trying to do. But on DC's part to neither confirm nor deny that Jared Leto was or still is the Joker is strange. I like the way they presented it and acknowledged him, but it felt weird to not have him or the Joker in this movie at all. I really liked everyone in their roles as well. Once again, Harley's accent, or Margot Robbie's accent, drifts in and out throughout the film, but I really liked her in this role, and I think she fits it especially well. As for everyone else, once again, what I don't like about their characters is not the actor's fault. Everybody does a good job in this movie with what they're given. It's a failure by the movie and the story to not fully flesh out their characters. Ewan McGregor is great as Black Mask, and he does a great unhinged villain with it. But something just feels lacking. The film continues to show him as if he's not capable of anything that he's trying to do, and he's incompetent in a way. And Zaz just doesn't seem like a serial killer, or at least he's not portrayed to be. And I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think she's a great actress. I love everything she does. She's awesome. But as a Huntress, she simply does not get enough screen time, in my opinion. Yeah, she gets fleshed out, but her character just feels a little bit lacking in a way that I would have liked to have seen her in it or do something a little bit more besides just the third act. Other than that, I like the presentation of this film. The costume design, staging, and the way it was shot looked great. I liked the set pieces, and I thought that the action was a lot of fun and presented a great spark to this film that it wasn't necessarily missing, but was a great addition. And I like the writing. It used its R rating very well, not being overly graphic or too vulgar. Not that that's a problem, but sometimes in these superheroes movies, when they're rated R, it just goes over the top, much like Deadpool does. Birds of Prey is funny, a whole lot of fun, and will be the first movie that I can say that I will see in theaters a second time this year. It's an absolute blast that makes me hopeful for the future of DC movies. I want to see superhero movies succeed. I don't want them to be shit boxes like they have in the past. And the 1-2 punch between Birds of Prey and Shazam makes me think that they are really moving in the right direction. I like that they acknowledge Suicide Squad in multiple ways throughout this film, and I like the character adjustments made to Harley Quinn. And I really cannot wait now for James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2. Now, this might be my superhero bias shining through and coming into play, considering when I checked IMDb's score for this movie is at a 6.5. but I think it's a whole hell of a lot better than that. This movie is like I said, it's an absolute blast. It's so much fun. And I really cannot get over how much I love this movie. 7.7 out of 10. But a word of advice for anybody that does want to go see this movie, that is a fan of superhero movies, that likes staying for after credits. Do not stay. Look it up online. Read it online. It's not worth it. It's not something great. It's not something special that's going to hint to the Wonder Woman 84 or anything like that. It's just not worth it.